The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Hakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation to the Akim just pushing the truth and sincerity. Lord willing, this video be edifying first and foremost to the whole elect, and to those that cleave to the body. And this lesson will be about pretty much credit card debt, the way it have skyrocketed, all right, and the reason why people have it, all right, just, they just let it with debt at this point, with this thick clay, all right, or they just in debt, man. And credit card was put in place to tax you, all right, to give you money, basically to give you money that you don't really have, okay, or spend money that you don't have so they can tax you later if you can't pay it back. All right. But they set up this, the way the system is set up is automatically set up. All right. For you to, gain interest on the taxes, or, gain interest on the money, and ultimately and just become a servant unto them. All right. To where they just, they just take all your money and you owe them. OK. But this just in the business section of Newsbreak. You just go in there and type in business, you'll be able to find it. It says credit card debt hits a record 1.277 trillion, and 55% of cardholders say they are carrying balances just to cover essentials. Okay, that this earlier quote, all right, that said I was looking at something today. It was a Eve, and the Eve said, "Look, I told my boss that 3 companies were after me, and she said I needed a raise." And the boss asked her, like, "Which 3 companies?" She said the gas company, the electric company, and the water company, man. So our people is just really carrying a balance just to cover the essentials, and you can't really pay it back, because you still got all your bills, those 3 companies that I said, which got jigged by the balls here. All right. Not include, we ain't start including food or, hobbies or, none of that. We just talking about those, which those themselves, all right, consumes at least 60 to 70% of Jake revenue. Okay. So just being able to cover the essentials, then you got that credit line open, which is debt itself. All right. Yeah. All right. Because it shows, okay, we gave you this amount to spend. All right. Then you got a cap to where you can't go over this amount. Okay. Before you pay this amount. But nevertheless, let's read. Okay. It says groceries, the electric bill, and a tank of gas to get to work. For more than half of American credit card holders, those non-negotiable costs are now going on plastic that won't be paid off when the statement arrives, right? So you get 28 days and a half or something like that. They tell you 30 days, all right? But it's really 28 days or so and a half to make the payment that you used on a credit card, to have a good line of credit. Which this is also a play to basically do away with the whole money or credit line, all right, and come in with that new digital ID anyways, all right. They're going to erase your debt, they're going to do, it's all to basically prompt you into the mindset of, okay, we'll get rid of all your debt if you accept this, So this is another way. Credit won't be around long, man. As you can see, money is flying away. Okay? It tells you that in Proverbs 23 and 5. It says, "Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle towards heaven." And credit, you don't even see that. It's like a invisible money. All right, it's just digital numbers that you have, that you see in when you look online or look through your app, okay, and it shows you, the negative when you spend, all right, and when you bring it right back to the amount that you had, All right, when you pay off the debt. Okay. So we understand, the whole way with credit work. It's just really a trap, all right, to keep you feeling like you can spend anything at any time and you won't make the deadline to pay it in time. All right. But it says a 2026 national survey by debt.com found that 55% of cardholders are carrying revolving balances specifically to cover essentials, food, utilities, and transportation. And Mac, some years ago, all right, Jake would have enough money to carry this, go to work, just different things because of inflation, because of tax rates, Fed hike, interest rates, insurance rates on mortgages going up. All right, and the things that has happened, okay, have caused a surge in money. And then these jobs, right, saying that the windows are being dark and that these jobs are not paying the amount, okay, to cover, Jake not making much, man. A lot of Jakes don't have educations, and even if they do, they working at small time jobs, man. Managers at Burger King, all right, making $20,000-$30,000 a year. I mean, if you do just the average amount of a single person household, let's just say just a man, I say a family, a man, a woman, let's just say he got a kid, okay, and he works at Burger King. He's barely a manager at Burger King or McDonald's or Target or something like that. He barely gonna probably eclipse 30,000, give or take. So once you do the taxes, his bills, internet, it's just so many bills, internet, phone bill, electric, gas, water, insurance. All right, it's just all consumed. Then you ain't counting food and amongst other things. So there's no way then to have a credit card. All right, you just really got that to replace the money you don't have. And then they make you spend that. And then now you owe that. You see? So it's all designed to basically put you in debt. All right, it says food, utility, and transportation. These respondents aren't overspending on luxuries. They're financing the cost of getting through the month. Now you counting on credit to get through the month. And most of our people, Jakes, don't got good credit. Most of our people can't afford to even get the credit. Okay, lesson on, and if they do get it, because they haven't been taught, how to manage finances and, take advantage of certain opportunities, then all Jake do is he just mess up his credit, man. Which credit is trust. All right. So to put your trust in a wicked man, that's all you basically doing. Okay. The trust in the wicked is like let me get that. All right. That won't be long. Yeah. This is Sirach 12 and 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is wickedness. So when you trust a wicked man, all right, he gonna find a way to, to plug deep, dry thrice. You know what? Let me get that. All right. All right. Let me get that, because that's on time. All right. This is Sirach 13 and 4, and it reads, yeah, it says Sirach 13, and I'm gonna say 4, all right, because credit is just something for to get Jake behind the 8 ball to be taken advantage of. It says, if thou be for his profit, he will use thee, but if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. So if he can use you to get that credit and get credit lines open, all right, at some point, that can be a trap. All right, that's a vice of Satan. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. All right, when you owe this credit, you can't go and get nothing. You get your house taken, your vehicles, everything. And they ain't gonna say, well, look, you spent all this money fighting for years, to keep your credit and do this, then we'll help you out, right? It says, if he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? All right. And he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dried twice or thrice. And at the last he will laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and shake his head at thee. Take your income tax, student loans, amongst a lot of things, man. But all in all, man, credit is just you trusting in this devil, man. All right. I can guarantee you credit should mean trust. All right. So when you get a credit card, you just, believe, faith, trust. Right? A loan or a thing entrusted to another. Now remember, this devil deal with bribes. So it'll seem like a gift, and the devil ain't gonna never give you nothing for free. You see? It says the commercial sense, the confidence and ability and intention of a purchaser or borrower to make payment at some future time. So he still want that all the money he gave you, and he want to charge you interest, man. All right? So this devil is the devil. Okay? It says, let's read a little bit more of this and get out of here, all right? It says that finding lands alongside Federal Reserve data showing the national credit card balance has reached record territory. Total revolving consumer credit crossed 1.277 trillion in the Fed's most recent financial accounts of the United States. Released, though the exact figure may be subject to revision in subsequent report. For context, revolving credit stood at roughly 1.8 trillion at the end of 2019. That's before the pandemic. Post-pandemic, balances have grown faster than disposable personal income, which means the gap between what Americans earn and what daily life costs is increasingly being covered by credit cards, charging average interest rates above 21%, man. The Debt.com survey relied on self-reported responses from a national sample of cardholders and did not publish a detailed methodology or margin of error. So, its results should be read as a snapshot of consumer sentiment rather than a precise measurement. Still, the direction it points aligns with the Fed's own household data. Okay? Okay, let me jump here. It says, the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index shows that while year-over-year inflation has cooled from its 2022 peak, cumulative price increases on groceries, rent, and utilities remain well above where they were 3 years ago. That's what I was saying. Wages have grown, but for many households, not fast enough to close the gap. There you go. So you don't make enough to afford to live here anymore. All right? It's just what it is. It says the result is a quiet shift in how credit cards function. For a growing share of family cards are no longer a convenience tool paid off each month. They become a rolling line of credit that finances the basics of daily life. So credit cards don't really replace the money that you're not making at work. And then now you automatically owe that debt. And now what's going to replace that debt is that C-help, man. You're going to have to take that C-help. All right? To live here. Let me jump down here. It says lower income families are far more likely to carry card balances month to month, while higher earners tend to pay in full. A significant share of adults with outstanding balances told the Fed they would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense. Now, I think it was like 89% of Americans don't have a $500 emergency expense in their account. All right, and that's why they would struggle to cover that. That finding revealed just how thin the margin is. Credit cards are functioning as both a payment method and a last resort safety net, often for the same household. Credit cards, that's a last resort safety net, man. You know, the mat that traps borrowers. What makes this trend especially punishing is the cost of the debt itself. The average annual percentage rate on general purpose credit cards has remained above 21% through late 2024 and into 2025, according to the Fed's G19 Consumer Credit Report. There's no indication that rates have dropped meaningfully since then. They're going to go up. All right. At 21%, this probably be it. APR ran 3,000 balance paid at the typical minimum. Around 2% of the balance, or $25, whichever is greater, takes roughly a decade to eliminate and generates more than $2,400 in interest charges, nearly doubling the original amount on. Yeah, a loan, all right, is a payback with interest. Anyone can verify this using the CFBP's credit card payoff calculator. Yeah, when you look at that, man, you'll just be depressed, man. All right, that's pretty much it. Okay, that's pretty much it from that. All right, let me get this, man. This Ciroc 18 and 33. It says, "Be not made a beggar by banqueting upon borrowing." All right, remember I started off with the borrower shall be subject to the lender. All right, because you're going to become subject unto him. When thou hast nothing in thy purse, for thou shalt lie in wait for thine own life and be talked upon. You see? So you're going to be waiting from this man to see if he going to give you relief from debt or how he going to come through to save you. And he going to give you the thing that's going to ultimately destroy you. And that's that C-Help, man. All with the thoughts of, man, I'm erasing my debt. I'm finally getting out of debt. I'm finally getting out of this financial prison that I've been in. All right. And it's going to trap you, man. All right. Money going to be the reason many people sin. Credit cards, the things you can do, buy and selling. All right. It all leads to the Revelation 13, man. All right. Ciroc 27 and 3 and 1. Many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away. As a nail sticketh fast between the joining of stones, so doeth sin stick close between buying and selling. All right. People going to have to continue to buy and sell. People going to have to start sinning, man. You're going to have to take whatever this devil offering you, all right, to get out of the situation you in, okay, just to please to continue to take care of your family and live and survive. All right, it's all a setup, you know. So when you look at this debt, all right, remember, you know, the debt, when you go look at the debt clock, America itself is in a shitload of debt. All right, I know it'll reach 30 trillion or higher or wherever it's at, which that's fabricated numbers. You know, you might as well times 3, 4 times that, whatever it is, all right, because the devil be lying. But for the most part, all right, people just using their credit cards to get by just for essentials, man, and can't even pay that back. Because after they paid it, they use the credit card and pay for their bills and expenses throughout the month, and just to take care of the daily bread. All right, they have nothing left. So you can't pay back something you don't have, man. All right, remember, the credit cards is just trusting in your enemy, man. All right, you giving him the upper hand and just put you in more debt, you know, so just be wise, you know, that, you know, debt which cometh of this, man. So, you know, hey, the Lord gonna take care of men, so I don't want to zah. All right, we trust in the Lord, man. That's gonna save us, man. You know, we ain't gonna trust in what man can do for us. We're gonna trust in what Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh do and will continue to do. So I don't want to zah. Was that a fine? Till next time I say shalom.